The NFL draft is a little over a month away, so I wanted to go back and grade the 2024 draft class from the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is a cool segment. I did a way too early Baltimore Ravens draft grades right after, literally like an hour after the draft ended last year. I gave some grades, but that's obviously extremely too early to really give a confident grade. And also this year is probably still too early, but I think it's a cool segment to kind of go year by year and regrade these draft classes as you get more information, as you know how it really panned out. And I'll go back and do the 2023 draft class as well, and maybe the 2022 draft class. I think that'd be pretty cool. Let me know if you guys want that. But let's start with the 2024 Baltimore Ravens draft class. The first pick was Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, first round pick at pick number 30. Nate Wiggins' playing time gradually increased throughout the year. When it first started, he wasn't playing a lot. He also had a few injuries earlier in the season, but as he got more and more playing time, he really started to shine in this defense, and by the end of this season, ended up being our number one outside corner, surpassed Brandon Stevens in playing time. And Nate Wiggins is the future number one corner of the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't let up a single passing touchdown all regular season. He did let up one in the wild card game against the Steelers, but Nate Wiggins had an absolutely insane year once he was truly given the chance. And with his 4.28 speed, his natural instincts to find the ball, his willingness to play physical, I think that this is an A pick. I won't go A+ until they've been cemented and proven for a few years. I think I need to reserve the A+. And I think I gave this an A+ grade right after we drafted him, but that was way too early, and I was a amateur content creator. So now that I've had some time to sit with it, I don't think I'm giving out any A+ until a few years have passed. But Nate Wiggins is well on his way to an A+. I will go A right now. I think Nate Wiggins has an extremely bright future with the Ravens, and we are blessed that he fell to us in that draft. Eric DeCosta capitalized and drafted a number one corner. Moving on to the Ravens' second round pick at number 62, the Ravens selected Roger Rosengarten, tackle from Washington. Now, Rosengarten played left tackle in college until his final year, where he switched to right tackle to protect Michael Penix's blind side at Washington. And then the Ravens obviously had Ronnie Stanley, still do have Ronnie Stanley. So the Ravens ended up keeping Roger at right tackle and had him in a rotation earlier in the season. He finally got the full-time starting job at right tackle and just got better week after week. Had some incredible showings against Max Crosby and TJ Watt and just elite pass rushers. Roger Rosengarten's quick feet and just his ability to get better and better. He's only going to get stronger as the years go. I think this was another home run pick, and no, not every pick in this draft is a home run pick, but I really think Eric DeCosta with the first two rounds had an incredible draft, and Roger Rosengarten is going to get another A from me. I think he's well on his way to be the Ravens' 10-plus year starter at tackle. Whether he ends up going to left tackle or not someday, we'll see, because he can play left. He's a natural left tackle, but we just re-signed Ronnie Stanley. Roger Rosengarten for the next 2 or 3 years is going to stay at right tackle and may stay there his whole career. But Roger Rosengarten is a great tackle. We saw that last year, and that was just his rookie year. He's going to take a leap. He's going to get stronger, and I think finding a 10-plus year starter at tackle in the second round, the end of the second round, makes this draft pick also deserving of an A. Now let's move on to round 3 at pick 93. The Ravens took outside linebacker Adisa Isaac from Penn State. Now this one's a little bit tougher to grade. Adisa Isaac didn't play a ton, kind of got some playing time towards the end of the season, had some flashes, had some moments, but was injured throughout camp, was battling some different things. When you're a rookie on the Ravens and you're not a first-round rookie or any top draft pick, and you are battling injuries during training camp and the preseason, the Ravens usually don't play you a ton. And Adisa Isaac fell into this category where he just didn't earn enough playing time and wasn't able to be there throughout this season consistently. So this is definitely a draft grade that is hard to grade because we haven't seen a big sample size of Adisa Isaac. But that's also not a reason to knock his draft grade. I don't think that makes him a bad pick because the coaches didn't play him a ton in year one. I saw some true flashes of elite athleticism. I think he's raw as a pass rusher, but I think he has a chance to really develop and play a pretty big role for the Ravens, probably 2 years from now. I don't even think it'll be this year. I think we'll see a lot more of Adisa Isaac this year. But as the older pass rushers like Kyle Van Noy, and we'll see what happens with Odafe Owe as they start to flush out and go elsewhere, I think Adisa Isaac is in that funnel to come up and play a decent role, and we'll see how he develops over the years. But for right now, since we don't know a lot, I'm going to give this draft pick a B-. Moving on to round 4 at pick 113, the Ravens took wide receiver Tez Walker from North Carolina. Tez Walker at this point in the draft was a steal. Tez Walker brings a ton of speed to the field. He's raw when it comes to running the full route tree. He's more of a burner right now. And he kind of falls into a similar category as Adisa Isaac, unfortunately, because Tez was battling some injuries throughout training camp and the preseason, wasn't playing a lot, and therefore did not get much playing time throughout this entire season. We saw him a little bit on special teams, but he was inactive for a lot of games. And then he kind of had his breakout shining moment in the New York Giants game where he had a toe tap touchdown in the back of the end zone. I still think Tez can play a role for this team. I don't think that we should write him off by any means. The Ravens don't play a lot of mid to late round picks, especially in year one, especially if they have injuries early in training camp and don't get to really build that confidence with the coaches. So he is in that same category as Adisa Isaac where we just don't have a lot of sample size. But I think the Ravens getting a talent like Tez Walker in the 4th round like they did, and we also saw a few flashes, especially in that Giants game, and I think we saw his speed on full display as well. He can be a burner for this team and play a role. I'm going to give this a B- as well. It's more of a TBD, same with Adisa Isaac. As we get a bigger sample size, we'll be able to go back and really see how this pans out. But for now, as we sit, I'm going B- for Tez Walker. The next pick was also in the 4th round at pick 130, and that is cornerback TJ Tampa from Iowa State. This was also regarded as a steal. TJ Tampa was also another player like Tez Walker that was just falling down draft boards. Not a lot of people really understood why. A lot of mock drafts had these guys going a lot earlier, but that's usually how the Ravens play ball in the draft. Best player available, who is slipping that really shouldn't still be there. And TJ Tampa fell into that category as well. Elite athlete, man. I mean, this guy is a freak athlete, and we didn't get to see a ton of TJ Tampa either. Unfortunately, he's grouped in with the Tez Walker Adisa Isaac, where he battled some injuries, didn't play a lot in year one. We have a very, very small sample size of him at corner, but I think his potential is very high. I think that the Ravens are going to play TJ Tampa quite a bit this year. I don't know if he'll end up being a full-time starter by any means, but I think he can earn that within the next 2 years. And I think this guy's athleticism is going to take him very far. I love TJ Tampa's upside. We obviously need to see more of a sample size to really be confident in what he can bring to the Ravens, but I'm going to give this pick a B. I think for being our last 4th round pick, he is a steal. I think he has even more upside than Adisa Isaac and Tez Walker. So I'm going to give this draft pick a B. And then moving on to the 5th round at pick 165, we drafted running back Rasheen Ali from Marshall. Rasheen Ali tore it up at Marshall. He was an explosive college player. We saw quite a bit of him actually for being a 5th round pick. He did play more than all the other guys we've been talking about outside of Nate Wiggins and Roger Rosengarten. Rasheen Ali got some playing time this year due to some injuries to Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell coming back off that knee injury. We saw Rasheen Ali this year. He did some punt returns. I think he's a versatile player. I don't think that he's going to have a long-term role with the Ravens. Rasheen Ali did flash a few times, and I think his main strength is his versatility, his fact that he can play special teams, be a returner, also be a depth running back, but I don't think he has a long-term future with the Ravens or potentially in this league, but he's definitely going to probably have to go on to another team to earn more playing time. I think his role on the Ravens is going to be kind of similar to what it was. He's just a depth running back piece. He's a versatile special teams player. I just think that this draft pick is not going to pan out to be someone that the Ravens consistently use, especially long term. So for that, I'm going to give this pick a D+. I don't think Rasheen Ali is a bad player. I just don't think that he jumps off the tape. He's not going to leap Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill to be Derrick Henry's backup. So he's kind of RB4 on our team, which makes him a roster bubble player, and we'll probably be talking about whether he's on the practice squad or not this year and could be a cut candidate. So I don't think this 5th round pick is going to be on the Ravens for a long time. So I'm going to give this draft pick a D+. Moving on to the 6th round at pick 218, which is a comp pick from the Jets. The Ravens took quarterback Devin Leary from Kentucky. Now it is the 6th round. A lot of teams are just taking shots at the dartboard, hoping to hit a bullseye. And I don't think the Ravens hit a bullseye with Devin Leary. He's definitely a project, but I can't write him off yet. He's just too young. He's not going to play a big role for the Ravens. He's going to be our emergency 3rd quarterback, especially after just signing Cooper Rush as the backup quarterback. We had Josh Johnson last year ahead of Devin Leary, and Devin Leary had a couple moments in the preseason. I'm excited to see what leap he takes. I know T. Martin, our quarterback's coach, is very high on him and kind of convinced Eric DeCosta to go take a stab. And I'm not writing Devin Leary off by any means, but I don't think this pick is ever going to move the needle for the Ravens in any way. So I am also giving this pick a D+. I just don't think that he's going to play much of a role at all, and this pick really isn't going to pan out to help the Ravens long term. Moving on to round 7 at pick 228, which was also from the Jets. The Ravens took center Nick Samac from Michigan State. Now, Nick was also battling injuries throughout training camp and the preseason. We had Ben Cleveland running center because Tyler Linderbaum was also out, so we didn't get to see a ton of Nick Samac. And for that reason, I'm not going to trash the pick. And this is more of a TBD as well. But for now, I'll give it a C-. I don't think this pick is going to move the needle, but he could end up being solid depth at center. He is our backup center, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the table in this preseason. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and we'll get to see more tape overall. The last draft pick in round 7, pick 250, we drafted safety Sanoussi Kane from Purdue. Now, this was a solid pick, in my opinion, for at least where he was drafted at. I don't think Sanoussi's going to be, a future star for the Ravens. We'll see. That'd be awesome. But I think right now he's definitely a special teams guy and some safety depth. But he found his way on the field in year 1 as a 7th round pick, and he plays physical. I mean, how many times on special teams was there a big hit and Sanoussi Kane was the one involved? He plays like a Raven already. He plays pissed off, and that goes a long way. That gets you on the field. That gets you some opportunity, and I think that we're only seeing the beginning of Sanoussi Kane. I don't think that he's going anywhere. I think he is going to play a big special teams role for the Ravens and also could find his way onto the field at depth safety. We'll see how that plays out, but I definitely think he's a key special teams guy that's going to be around for a little bit, man. I think this was a solid pick. So the final draft grade, Sanoussi Kane is going to get a B-. I think that for being our last pick in the draft, the end of the 7th round, we did land a guy who could play a role. Now, that role might not be substantial, but it's still impressive with your last pick to find a guy who truly plays like a Raven and plays as physical as he does. I think the sky's the limit. I do think Sanoussi Kane is going to be here for a few more years and play a role for this team. So therefore, being a 7th round pick, I'm giving it a B-. So that rounds out the Ravens 2024 draft class. It's still, like I said, way too early to lock in final grades for these guys. There could be injuries. There could be who knows what happens. But 1 year later, I think we do have a bit of a clearer picture than we did right after the draft before we ever got to see any of these guys. But they're still very young. A chunk of this draft class hasn't truly played, so we don't have a ton of sample size. So I'm excited to see these guys throughout mini camp, training camp, the preseason, see who's flashing, who's developing, who's taking a leap from last year. Keep an eye on these guys. There's a lot of names that could play an important role for the Ravens years to come. So I just wanted to come on here and do a 2024 draft grade. I also want to go back and do the 2023 draft class, which is 2 years later now. I think that'd be pretty interesting. Let me know if you guys would watch that and want that. I can knock that out soon. And let me know what your draft grades for all these guys are. It's a very subjective discussion. You know, there's no right or wrong answer. Nobody's right. It's still way too early in these guys' careers to cement a grade to the pick, but it's fun to do it year after year and see how these change. So let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.